The old mages, sages, witches, warlocks, stega, the hexa, shamans, medicine men, the boko, the maraberos. Those names bring terror to the mundane. Why? Out of fear, out of Hollywood produced films, making them into something they're not. Religious warfare for domination. It's there. A warlock doesn't need to promote himself. In pagan and Wiccan circles, a warlock is considered to be an outcast, a liar, a betrayer, you know, a deceiver, basically. From the Welsh and Scottish, the Anglo Saxon etymology. It helps to make them out to be a proverbial devil in disguise. Even in today's world, Hollywood produced films, TV shows like Witches of was it East End? You have the Warlock movies starring Julian Sands. You have The Covenant, you know, making them out to be power hungry, thirsty beings. Hell, you even have Charmed, with the Warlock being an evil, vile creature. Dr. Tom Knotts, a renowned Christian, claims that he hung out with a warlock who basically told him all about warlockery. True warlocks being able to trace their heritage, their lineage back to the Tower of Babylon, Babylonia. The book learned, or the half breeds, work 10 times harder. I found this humorous because none of it made sense. I've been a practitioner for 32 years, and I've never come across an organization that claimed that. And trust me, I've been around. You have modern day practitioners doing testimonials. You have multiple broadcasts about 5 to 8 times a week. You have a pissing contest between practitioners, a witch war, as Aleister Crowley so colorfully pointed it out, especially with Eliphas Levi and White and such. It's all about numbers. It's all about how many subscriptions you get. No, it's none of these things. Do you ever wonder why warlocks and witches were known in European countries as being the keepers of the sacred knowledge? They were keepers of the arcane, spirituality, healing herbs, you name it. They did it. So many practitioners today charge, well, let's just call it unruly prices for their services. And then they claim their videos are there for you for free. A 2-second Google search would show you point blank consumerism, deal making, pact making, trading. These are all part of a practitioner's life. History has shown from Africa all the way up into European countries that if a person could not give money, monetary gain, then they would trade fish or fur for equal services. How do I long for the old days? The old days where magic was sought after for power, knowledge, wisdom, self mastery, and evolution through the arcane sciences, not this bullshit that they call sorcery today. Mages and sages did not ask permission to practice. No, didn't matter how much the cost was. They went out of their way to learn from other practitioners, older, wiser sages and mages, necromancers and shamans. They traveled, they collected the knowledge. You don't see that today. Today, you see armchair magicians claiming to be something that they're not. People bashing others just because they can get away with it behind a computer screen. Doesn't matter what practice you're in, you see it. But you also see those who post every so often, those who put forth the knowledge and the experience, the resources, and the materials for you to go in and follow for yourself. Scottish witchcraft, the Hexa. 75% of the practitioners were women, 25% male. The Warlock could have numerous different covens, as one of the more ancient practitioner, an elder, Peter Haining, so colorfully put into his book, The Warlock, the Book of the Warlock, the Warlock's book, recreating a grimoire from his long lost heritage, 17th century. Hans Holzer, another great practitioner, historian, author, clearly knew what he was talking about because even his research backed up what I've studied and practiced. But you got so many making witchcraft into something it's not. Today it's all about sexual orientation. It's about sex and rock and roll. It's about role-playing games. Now, we didn't have that back in my day. And sure, back in the 80s, 90s, you know, Star Game, you had in the 90s and the 2000s, the D&D. A lot of people still into that crap. Personally, Star Game is the best one because you're playing chess on the planetary spheres. Seven spheres, seven boards with alchemical symbols instead of, guess what? Actual chess pieces. When people actually challenged themselves through knowledge, insight, intense study, knowing folklore, history, mythology, alchemy. No, they shared no expense to their libraries, to their studies and their practices. No, a warlock does not need permission. A warlock does not seek fame, does not seek fortune. It's about the knowledge and the power of what he practices. The witch is the same thing. Knowledge, wisdom. If a person, a mundane individual, could not pay you currency, then trade something of equal value for that wisdom. Within 24 hours, I had two individuals come to me. One was seeking to open up the third eye, and another was looking to evoke a spirit. Asked about my services, what price I have for performing rites, rituals. My prices don't change. But for those of lesser financial gain or properties, I do trade. I do aid. You see, it has nothing to do with ego, but it does have everything to do with weeding out the fake from the real. You see, anyone who truly desires to learn magic, to become a sorcerer or sorceress, they're gonna, it doesn't matter the price. They're gonna pay for that person's time that they are wasting. They are going to do whatever it takes to gather that knowledge, that insight. The grimoire systems, you see how practitioners would go from mage to sage to practitioner, trying to find that truth. Eventually, they find it, and that's at the hands of a small fortune being discredited, being spent, because anything worth having is not easy. Popularity and fame, no. Anyone who gets into this field of practice, you quickly learn it's not about popularity, it's not about numbers, it's not about subscriptions or testimonials. Yeah, I've had a few individuals that I've helped, that I've guided, that go out and spread my name amongst the masses. I've never asked them to do that. They did that on their own because they were grateful. They learned the truth. They were put on the path that they were meant to be on. But in today's world, people have lost focus. They've lost that wisdom, that drive, that knowledge. In the last day, through my own personal research, study, 13 pages of notes. That's just the cliff notes. 13 pages in a single day of study and practice. And that is with a 4-year-old that was sick. Just 13 pages. Handwritten. You see all that? That was in a single day. That was a single day worth of study, research, cross referencing. You see, you can pick up a book and claim to be a warlock. You can claim to be a magister, or you can be claim to be this or that. You can be claim to be a master of the the lords of darkness. It does not make you one. Everybody wants power, and they want it like pushing an easy button. If you truly want power, if you truly want knowledge and wisdom, then you're going to work for it. 3 decades. That's how long I've been a practitioner of various different traditions. I have nothing to prove to anyone. I'm not going to let myself get dragged into a pissing contest because somebody has a hair across their ass. I live my life by 2 codes. Whatever you preach, always back it up with multiple sources. And always make yourself available to the public. And the ironic part is the 21 satanic points, for an example, is an old expression that I think many people should actually get to know. Build not upon sand, but upon rock. Build not for today or yesterday, but for all time. Do not seek validation from anyone, except for your peers. If you are a student, an apprentice, then you answer to your teacher. If you are an apprentice of the gods, the spirits, the jinn, the devi, the loa, the orisha, or even the demonic or the jinn, the folk magical creatures themselves, such as the elven, the Siddhi, then you answer to them. When you make a blood oath, when you make a pact with a spirit, You answer to that spirit, but you also have to put the work and the time in. And whatever you put in your pact, you need to uphold. It's called responsibility to the responsible. If your teacher does not uphold the integrity and the honor of his title and duty, then you can damn well be sure that the spirits that he works with will. Lucifer Raphael, for an example, is an ancient scribe and pact maker within demonology, the Grimoire systems, going as far back as the Clavicle of Solomon, even the Constitution of Pope Honorius. He's found in the True Grimoire, the Black Dragon, and I think the Black Dragon was actually the best one out of all of them. That puts in more information than the original Grimoire. But it's not until you get into the Red Book of Appin that you truly find the valid dictation of truth. Wizards can be made, they can be created, but those who are born for magic wield it without question, without hesitation. They don't seek validation, they don't seek approval. They're not in it for numbers, they're not in it for popularity, they're not in it for this or that. It's a lifetime of intense study, practice, without ego. Ego is the enemy of a practitioner. And this clearly is shown in today's world with so many falling through their own follies. People are calling out anyone and everyone. It's a worldwide cleansing, a purge. And it's a calling for you to get back to basics and learn. The last 2 days, I have really thought about my name, the planets that I'm associated with, the spirits, the demons, the pacts, numerology, astrology, planetary symbols. In this dark time, this Yule, I find it interesting that even through magical squares, I've delved into them yet again. It's been years since I've done anything like this. Every so often, I go back to basics, refresher course, a reminder of who you are and why you got into magic. But this is something different. This is not mundane. This is more spiritual. And I think this is more of a spiritual awakening for many. This is why many aren't live on Facebook. This is why many are not live on MeWe or even on any of the social media talk sites, chat sites, or whatever you want to call them. People are staying away, they're being observant, but they're also afraid of what's coming. There's an old expression used by Chuck Norris, the president's man. A well trained martial artist is prepared, whereas someone else is not. Sun Tzu even spoke on this. Personally, I've been delving into Japanese lore, from Bushido to Shintoism to Stoic, getting into Marcus Aurelius' philosophies. And it's ironic that even Lucifer was a master philosopher, the bearer of light and truth. And then I remember why I started working with him. I want you to think about this. Why did you get into magic? Why did you get into spiritualism? Why do you need somebody else's approval or validation to do what you're called to do, what you're attracted to do? The truth is, you don't. Anyone who has studied sorcery, from the land of pharaohs to European cultures, Eastern or Western philosophy, you're going to see that these old warlocks, these old witches, warlocks, mages, sages, necromancers, shamans, they did not seek validation. They did not care if they were liked or hated. They did what was natural to their. You notice I said natural, to their nature. And I wanted to give this to you because I find it interesting that ego is just running amok. People are seeking advice, they are seeking approval in today's age. Whatever happened to self motivation? Whatever happened to self governing responsibility? But it's up to you. Have a good one.